San Antonio, Texas, 1946. World War II was ended, and the new military-grade insecticide has been released to the public. The town is quick to take advantage, spraying all areas in the hope of killing insects believed to cause the spread of polio.
Every suspected spot is sprayed.
All public and private areas are fumigated. Even local rivers and streams are doused in the chemical. The townspeople happily take part, believing this new miracle insecticide to be the answer to all their problems. There were just two things wrong with this assumption. One, it was later found that insects do not carry polio. And more importantly, two, DDT was far from the safe miracle solution to pest control that everyone believed it to be. Throughout the late 1940s and early 1970s, the United States was plunged into a state of ecological crisis due to the overuse of DDT. In 1962, a marine biologist named Rachel Carson published a book entitled Silent Spring to raise public awareness of the damage DDT caused to American ecosystems and the threat it posed to human health. Silent Spring was a new frontier in US history because before its publication, the people in the United States were unaware of the dangers that DDT caused to both the environment and themselves. However, shortly after, the public rallied to pressure the government into acting to get the use of DDT banned throughout the United States. This changed history because it saw the beginning of the environmental movement and the establishment of Environmental Protection Agency in 1970. From now on, the public and the government would become increasingly involved in protecting their environment. The story of Silent Spring began in 1957 when Carson received a letter from a friend in Duxbury, Massachusetts. In the letter, the friend described the loss of birds in the area following the DDT spraying. This was the spark that would inspire Carson to conduct her own research and eventually lead to the publishing of her findings in a world-famous book called Silent Spring in 1962. The book was an instant bestseller. Since publication, more than 2 million copies have been sold. Carson clearly stated her claim that if humankind poisoned nature, nature would in turn poison humankind.
If the Bill of Rights contains no guarantee that a citizen shall be secure against lethal poisons distributed either by private individuals or by public officials, it is surely only because our forefathers, despite their considerable wisdom and foresight, could conceive of no such problem.
Some took to the streets in demonstrations. Others gathered signatures on petitions to pressurize the government to take action. I met with Captain Shannon, who was one of the many school-aged children who took up the call to action.
So in 1969, I was in sixth grade in Los Gatos, California, and we had an ecology class back then because it was also I was 11 years old, and it was I don't know, we had a hippy dippy teacher, but ecology was really important back then, right? So she started this program to get signatures to ban DDT, and I don't know, I don't remember how many. I'm sure there was a lot of other organizations and stuff, but so we started a petition, a signature petition to ban DDT in the Monterey Bay area. What I see with the fruition is the pelicans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brown pelican. Back then, I think I probably told you that back then there was just statistically, you can look it up, but there's something like 11 pelicans left in the Monterey Bay. That was it because of DDT. Nationwide, wherever the pelicans were, is one egg a year. They would sit on their shells and they would crack because DDT made the shells weak. So 11, if you think about it, 11 of those guys back then in 69. And now you go sailing, like you probably saw, there's like hundreds and hundreds of them. So it's a really cool thing for me, being an old guy, that to see the fruition of a project he did.
The popularity of the newly formed environmental movement was immense, even finding its way into pop culture.
Hey, farmer, farmer, put away the DDT now. Give me spots on the apples, or leave me the birds and the bees. Please don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot.
The chemical industry attempted to hit back, but found the tide of public opinion impossible to turn. On June 4th, 1963, Rachel Carson was invited to speak before Congress. During her 90-minute hearing, Carson gave a convincing case against the use of DDT.
In attempting to assess the role of pesticides, people too often assume that these chemicals are being introduced into a simple, easily controlled environment, as in a laboratory experiment. This, of course, is far from true.
Carson's testimony led to the government decision to conduct its own research of the newly formed EPA accepting the task. After extensive research, the following press release was announced on the 31st of December, 1972.
The cancellation decision culminated 3 years of intensive governmental inquiries into the uses of DDT. As a result of this examination, Ruckelshaus said he was convinced that the continued massive use of DDT posed unacceptable risks to the environment and potential harm to human health.
Although public outcry was successful in establishing government legislation to protect our environment, issues remain to this day which still require public involvement if they are to be resolved. Although no longer used, DDT is still a threat to the wildlife in Southern California. Barrels dumped into the Pacific Ocean continue to negatively affect the health of sea lions, California condors, and even the health of several generations of women. Public pressure has intensified in recent years. Federal, state, and local agencies have recently joined forces with scientists working for non-profit organizations in an attempt to resolve the ongoing problem. Another threat to human well-being is also gaining public attention. With CO2 and other greenhouse gases being linked directly to climate disruption, our government faces increasing pressure from the public to take action. Extreme weather patterns threaten livelihoods, homes, and even lives throughout the United States. As public pressure increases, federal state governments are now beginning to introduce legislation to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases produced. The public are also becoming increasingly aware of plastic pollution as a threat to the well-being of their environment and as a result to themselves. Not only does plastic kill wildlife who accidentally consume it, but it often is composed of carcinogenic chemicals which leach into our water supply. The public have responded by conducting cleanups for beaches and waterways. Many also petition government officials to introduce laws to address the serious threat. Rachel Carson's success in raising public involvement in environmental issues was just the start. With many issues facing humankind today, public initiatives are increasingly important if they are to be resolved. Captain Shannon summed up perfectly where we must go from here.
One of the things that upsets me right now, I was an environmentalist from way back, right? A long time ago. One of the things that upsets me now, actually, if you want to know, is that people, young people, are not taking that active, radical notion and stuff and about the environment. Because, you know, I got a 19-year-old grandson, and I've been telling him for a long time that this is your future. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. And I'm too old, you know, my generation, we can't do it anymore, but it's up to you young people. You guys need to be aware that your future in environmental stuff, like you've been saying, is important, and that your guys' kids, you want to make a good world for them, right?
We've done a lot of things, and I'm glad to see a lot of people were like at the beginning of it all, you know. You guys did a lot of work to get us to the point of like actually being able to ban DDT and stuff like that. Now it's kind of up to our generation now to continue that trend.